Okay, students, we'll move on to the next topic, instruction and instruction sequencing. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about what exactly instructions are. Okay. In next class, we'll be discussing about instruction sequencing. Fine. Instruction means some kind of a direction or principal kind of a direction we are providing for the processor so that what it should achieve or what kind of task it needs to perform. Okay. Example, if I want to add two different number like 4 and 5, okay, then the operator we are using it as what? Plus over there. Okay, so that is what the instruction we are providing it for the processor, that we need to add the value of 4 with value of 5 exactly, right? Okay, so what are the different uh, responsibilities of instructions are available? We'll discuss in today's class. Okay, then the second topic, instruction sequencing we are having. Okay, so regarding that, in upcoming class, we are going to discuss about. Okay, what exactly the sequence stands for? Okay, like 0 to continuous. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this we are calling it as one kind of a sequence, right? Or else 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One sequence. Okay, like the instruction, it is not single. Remember, okay, we will be having a set of information or set of instruction available. Fine. Whether your compiler is compiling the instruction in a sequence fashion or whether it is going to miss the sequence. Okay. If it is missing the sequence, what must be the instruction available over there? Okay. So regarding this, we'll be discussing in next class. Okay. But in today's class, we are going to discuss what is instruction and what is the responsibilities of instructions are. Okay. We'll continue, students. A computer must have instructions capable of performing four types of operations. Remember this, the computer must have instruction capable of performing four types of operations. Okay, we'll see that. What are those four types? We are listed over here. First one, data transfer between the memory and the processor register. Remember this, the first main task which your instruction should perform is what? It should be able to transfer the information between the memory and the processor register. Remember this. Okay, and vice versa in reverse fashion also, from processor register to memory. Okay, in previous lecture we studied like two memory operations. You remember, load and store. Load is for reading. Okay, means what? Memory location content will be transferred to the processor. But inside the processor, where exactly the location? Your processor register itself. Okay, so the first job of your instruction should be what? It should be having potential to have a communication or a data transfer between the memory location and the processor register. It may be read, it may be write, does not matter, but there must be a communication between memory location and the processor register. This is the first very important job which your instruction should perform. Yeah. Then the second one, arithmetic and logical operation on data. So the operand, whatever we are going to get inside the processor from a memory location, over that, some kind of arithmetic and logical operation should be performed, right? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, or else for accessing the memory location also, we need to go for obtain some sort of arithmetic operations over there. Yeah, okay. So our instruction must be in a position to perform arithmetic and logical operation also. Yeah, okay, fine. Next, program sequencing and control. Okay, our instruction must follow the sequence of the program. It should not be like first line will be executed directly, it should jump for last line. Then what is the use of the intermediate line, right? It should begin with 0, next 1, 2, 3, 4 till the end of the program. Okay, and also control we are having some set of control instructions. See, this is what the third point. Okay, it's totally related to the instruction sequencing. Regarding this program sequencing and control itself, we need to discuss in next class. Here, program sequencing means what? Beginning with the first line of the program and you are ending the all execution till the last line. Here, the control means what? We are using some control instruction which will change the execution sequence of the program. Remember this. How we are having if or else a for loop, okay, some kind of conditions what we are using over there. Okay, so like that here also in case of machine level languages also we are using some control instruction which will change the execution of program sequence. Remember, okay, so our instruction must perform all these three tasks. Very important. Apart from this, IO transfer. This is very, very important. Okay. IO transfer means input and output transfer. Okay. So the user used to provide the input. Okay. Our instructions must be in a position to grab those input and transfer it for the processor for processing. Then after the processing of information, it should be able to display the output in the output unit over there. So who is getting involved over here? Our instruction. Okay. So in next slide, we'll see what are the different types of instructions that are available. What is the syntax of writing the instructions and all. Clear? Okay. Here, register transfer notation we are having. This is not an assembly level language. Remember this. We are using some memory location and we are using some symbols and the general purpose register directly to compute the task. Okay. If we are doing so, then that kind of computation, we are calling it as a register transfer notation. Okay. Based on the register, okay, and using some notations, we are going to complete the task. Okay, this is very basic. Okay, we are not using it, but we are using the assembly level languages itself. In next slide, we are going to discuss about that. Okay, but we'll go through what is this register transfer notation. Okay, first, few examples of registers I would like to give. Okay, which is taking part in case of register transfer notation. Okay, so here R0 to Rn minus 1. So this is what the n number of general purpose registers which is residing inside the processor. Okay, so who are very like much responsible for this register transfer notation because we are utilizing these registers itself. Okay, so general purpose register is one of the example for register transfer notation. Then apart from this, input buffer register data in and output buffer register data out. Okay, output data register and input data register. Two different registers we are using over here. Okay, that we are calling it as data in and data out. Remember, it should be in capital. It should be in capital. Okay. When we were discussing about the IO transfer module number 2, okay, you'll be having better knowledge about what exactly the job of data in and what is the job of data out exactly. Fine. Okay. Then we'll go through some examples. Here R1 towards arrow mark we have in a square bracket we have something called as a loc, LOC. Okay, so that states LOC is a address. Okay, LOC is a address. Content of LOC must be transferred to R1. Okay, that R1 arrow mark location within a bracket, square bracket. Remember, it is not a normal bracket or curly bracket. Okay, it is square bracket. Okay, R1 towards arrow mark we are having and location. It means it should be considered as an address. So in this particular address, whatever the value we are having, that should be transferred it for R1, register R1. Okay, so here we are using only few symbols. Just observe, we don't have anything like move, load, store, or any kind of those kind of mnemonics, what we call it as. Okay, so instead of that, we are just using the arrow mark and we are using some memory location and addresses, so memory location and register. Okay, with some symbols over here. That means what? Location LOC should be considered as an address. So inside the whatever information we have, that should be uploaded it for R1. So yeah, okay. Then one more example we are having R3 towards arrow mark we are having R1 and R2 within a bracket. Between that we have a plus. That means I need to add the value of R1 with R2. Okay, and the result should be stored in R3. Result should be stored in R3. So this is what it is trying to state. Here states R1 and R2 are addresses. Okay, then content must be added and result should be transferred to R3. Fine, that is what it is stating. R1 and R2. R1 and R2. Okay, so inside that whatever value we are adding, that should be transferred for that should be added first and it should be transferred for R3. Okay, and you have a note, just observe, remember this whenever we are discussing about a register transfer notation. Okay, name with, okay, name within the opening and closing of the square bracket. Okay, it should be considered as an address. Remember this, name within a square bracket should be considered as address. Clear? Okay, so this is what the register transfer notation is. Okay, then later, what exactly assembly language notations are? Fine. The symbolic representation, whatever we did in case of a register transfer notation, that is overrated with some kind of a name. That's it. Okay, that name we are calling it as mnemonics. There we were calling it as symbol. Here we are calling the same as mnemonic. Okay, By observing that, we can easily identify what kind of operation will be performed over that mnemonic. Okay, so here, what exactly assembly language notations are? Assembly language uses a mnemonic to represent each low-level machine instruction or opcode. Fine. Typically, also each architectural register and flags, etc. Okay, for representing these kind of low-level machine instruction and architectural level registers like general purpose register and different kinds of flags, for representing that, we are using some set of mnemonics available over there. Fine. Okay, we'll go through that. What are those mnemonics and then many operations require one or more operands in order to form a complete instruction. Here, mnemonics is not enough. Okay, or if you are available with any mnemonic that cannot be called as a complete instruction. If I want to complete my instruction, then one or more. Remember, one or more. It's not like one or two. Okay, we don't have a limit. Okay, it may be one, sometimes it may be two, sometimes it may be three also. Remember this. Okay, so mnemonic with a one or more operand, we call it as one complete instruction. Remember this one. Okay, so here we got two examples. Just observe. Okay, so the previous register transfer notation, whatever we had, right? Okay, same thing. I want to represent using the assembly level language. So what we are using, instead of arrow mark, just observe here, instead of arrow mark, we are using it as what? Move. Okay, that arrow mark indicates what? Move the content of LOC to a R1, right? So same thing we are going to perform over here. Move LOC comma R0. Move LOC comma R0. So this place we are calling it as operation. Okay, and this is what the source and this is what the destination. Chetan will go to office, right? Office will not come back to Chetan. Okay, Chetan should go to office physically. So here, source should go for destination. Source, what we have, location we have. What is location? Location is a address. So here, whatever we are writing, this is what is particular address. So inside that, what value we have, that should go for R1 exactly. Yeah, okay. Then LOC value will be residing in R1. Then add R1, R2, R3. Okay, see, just observe what I mentioned. One or more. One or more. But here, how many we are having? Three we are having, right? Three different operands we are having. Okay, so this we are calling it as the next slide. You will be having better knowledge about this. So we are calling it as source, comma, destination we are calling this. Okay, if we are having three operand, first two should be considered as a source and third one should be considered as a destination. But if we are having only two, first we should consider it as a source and last one should be considered as destination. Yeah, okay. So the result of this particular add will be value of R1, value of R2 will be added to R3, will be added to R3. Clear? Okay. So this is what, how we are utilizing the mnemonics of assembly level language notation. Yeah, okay. So in further classes, we'll be discussing different programs and we'll be having better information regarding how many different kinds of mnemonics we have, okay, where we can use them, okay, what is the procedure to use them, okay, everything. Then later. Now, the last topic of today's class, basic instruction types. Here are very, very important 6 marks question it is. Remember this 6 marks question, very, very important. Basic instruction types. Total 3 different instruction types are available. We'll go through it. Okay. Example we have C will be equal to A plus B. So this is what I want to execute. See, one expression we got C is equal to A plus B. Value of A, value of B, both should be added and result should be stored in C exactly. It is same as R1, R2, R3. Add R1, R2, R3. Okay, same thing it is. Okay. Now, if you would like to represent this expression in case of register transfer notation, RTN stands for register transfer notation. Then, so this is what the fashion, right? So here we are having some address location. Here we are using some symbols, okay, that indicates what A, B we are having. So A should be considered as the address, B should be considered as the address. In both the location, whatever the value we have, both should be added and it should be transferred for C. Yeah, okay. Now using mnemonics, how we can write the assembly level language instruction, we'll see this. Okay, so there are 3 different types: 3 address instruction, 2 address instruction, and 1 address instruction we have. Okay, 3, 2, and 1 we are adding. Okay, fine. We'll go through these three address instructions. What exactly? See, name only indicates three address. What are those? Source address 1, source address 2, and destination address. Okay, if this is what the instruction pattern operation we have, source 1 we are having, source 2 we are having, and destination we are having. Okay, example, add a comma b comma c. Okay, in previous slide, add r1 comma r2 comma r3 we had, right? In the same fashion, add a comma b comma c. If you are having, a will be considered as a source 1, b will be considered as a source 2, and c will be considered as a destination. So in my instruction, total 3 different operand addresses are specified. 2 are for source, 1 is for destination. So we are calling it as 3 address instruction. This is one type. Second type, two address instruction. Normal pattern it is. Okay, in our regular programming, we are using this two address instruction itself. So same thing I want to achieve, like c is equal to a plus b, I want to compute. So what I need to do? Add a comma b. See, what is the instruction fashion? Operation, source comma destination. How many address location we are mentioned in this instruction? Two address. Because of this, we are calling it as two address instruction. So here, add a comma b. Value of a will be added to b. B will be overrated. Observe it carefully. B will be overrated, and then later move B comma C. What is the B value? Addition of A and B. Okay, the result will be residing in B exactly. So finally, the result will be move to C. Okay, instead of this, we can also write like this: add A comma C, then later add B comma C. That is also possible. Then we are adding a value for C first, then later we are adding the value of B to C exactly. Then C will be having result of what? A plus B, right? Okay. Then later, apart from this, one address instruction also we have. This is a bit complicated. Okay. This is a bit complicated, but using accumulator, okay, we are having one register which will act like source sometimes and sometimes as a destination. When it will be encounter accumulator, register called accumulator, this will be invoked. Okay, I repeat, we are using a register called as a accumulator. This will be invoked whenever we are trying to execute one address instruction. Whenever we are trying to execute one address instruction, then accumulator will be encountered or it will be invoked. What is the job of accumulator? It will act like source sometimes, and sometimes it will act like a destination. It totally depends on the instruction what we are writing over here. Yeah, now see here, one address instruction. Okay, it will be like operation and source bar destination. Okay, we can write like this. Okay, operation, then second will be source or destination. Okay, in the address location, either source will be specified or destination will be specified. Any one will be specified. So now observe here, load A we are having. What I want to do, I want to load the value of A. Okay, the question arises, where I should load? Okay, A value we have. Okay, consider it as a 4. It should be loaded somewhere. Where exactly? We don't know. That is what the destination, right? Source we are having. Load from A to where? We don't know. So now this accumulator will act like destination. Okay, so the value of A, which is equal to 4, will be uploaded to accumulator. Okay, then accumulator value will become 4 now. Now next, add B. See, now again, B is acting like a source. Okay, B should be added to what? We don't have any information regarding the destination. Here also, we are going to add value of B to the accumulator itself. Value of B to the accumulator itself. Consider the value of B is 5. Okay, now 5 will be again added to 4. 4 is, sorry, for accumulator. Accumulator is already having value of 4. 4 plus 5. Now the overrated value of accumulator will be 9 exactly. Yeah, now accumulator consists of 9. Then later, one more instruction we have. What is that? Store C we have, right? Store C we have. Now, I want to store a value to a location called as a C. Store C means what? Store C means what? Okay. So now C is acting like destination. C is acting like destination. Okay. But for this destination, from where I need to get the information, that is from the accumulator, which is equal to 9. Okay. So 9 will be uploaded to C itself. Then C, which is equal to A plus B Now C will be equal to 9. Here, accumulator sometimes like will be acting like source, and sometimes it will act like a destination. It depends on what kind of instruction you are using. See, for the first two, it was acting like source, and for the last, it is acting like destination. Fine. Okay. This is of now, students. So we'll meet in next class.